And we are now recording. I got a notification from Google saying that at the end of the recording, you will get an email notification in which you can access the recording. But of course, I already made plans to upload that to YouTube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download that video file and then I'm going to upload it to YouTube, because I think it's, I have a plan of how to organize that, but you're going to see that soon anyway. Okay, so let me check the chat real quick. Okay, that was just good morning, Michelle. All right, so before we begin, could everybody that's present just write present or write hello on the chat? Ya vi que Josué, José, Sebastián, Omar, y Michelle saludaron, so you don't have to do that again. It's just so I have a record for attendance whenever I revisit this video. Right? So Angelo, Derek, Jose, Gabriela, Joniel, Lismari, Lisanji, Emajeli, Alexis, Genesis, Luis. Okay? I'm going to leave you guys to that, and I'm going to start presenting my entire screen. And you should be seeing something by now. I have my background, which is a picture of Jupiter. And I'm going to go to Canvas. I'm going to go to Student View, so it's more akin to what you would see. And of course, on Monday, we were discussing, this is the presentation that we did on Monday. And on Monday, we already discussed this section of Canvas, which is my office hours. Just a reminder to get it on video. They're going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning. So immediately upon this class ending, I will be available for office hours. And all you have to do is click this, and you'll be connected with me. Of course, class meetings. If for some reason you don't get the email or the reminder 10 minutes before class, you can come to Canvas, go to Pages, Class Meetings, and of course, you guys are section 20, so make sure that you remember at least the time that you take class and click the corresponding link. Because if you click here at 8:30, this is already done, so you wouldn't see anything there. And of course, this is the presentation that we used on Monday. That's me and Olivia. You already saw this. And of course, the syllabus is available here. You can download that, but don't download that just yet, because I was showing the syllabus to my previous section, and I realized there were a couple of errors, and there's 2 things I need to modify. So I'm going to re-upload another version of the syllabus today, just so it's grammatically correct and more in tune with an online semester. So there are a couple of things that we can do in Canvas. Right now, of course, it's empty because the semester is starting, and I haven't uploaded much to it yet, but I will soon. And there's a couple of things here that I want you to really get in touch with. First of all, somebody emailed me yesterday saying that they couldn't find the syllabus, which is why I put it right here. But later on in the semester, you will be asked to access a couple of files. So whenever I tell you, hey, go get this document or go get this PDF, where are you going to search for it? In Canvas, you're going to go click here on Pages. I got a message in the chat. Who was that? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Excuse me, files, sorry. So when you're looking for a specific document or PDF, it's always going to be in this section, Files. Right now, there's only 2. So they're going to be right there in the main page. But I do have an option to make folders. And whenever we do have more files uploaded, I will be organizing them into folders. I'll discuss that a little bit more in depth at another point. So basically, your home screen is going to be changing every week. You know, of course, week 1 is going to have this welcome screen, and next week, the new module is going to be above this one. So welcome is going to be below. So if you ever need to access any of these things, you can click modules. And whenever I do have more modules, you'll look for them in descending order. So week 1 is going to be below, week 2 is going to be above that, week 3 is going to be above that, and so on and so forth. But if you forget how modules work and you just want to see my office hours, you can see that this is a little page here. So you click on pages, right? And then you're going to see all these things that I have organized in the home. You're going to see them in, well, in this area. This is going to be changing across the semester. I like to use pages a lot. I like to upload a lot of files. This part, syllabus, you won't be seeing syllabus like this clickable link anymore very soon, because what this does is that it asks me to specify all the things that are contained within this document. And honestly, yo no quiero pasar trabajo doble, so I'm just gonna delete this later. Conferences and collaborations, we might be using that later in the semester. People is more for me to use so I can see who's active in the chat. This page will be gone soon. And of course, if you want to keep in touch with your grades and your scores, you click here. And whenever there are assignments, you can arrange them by their title or their due date. And of course, you'll see them all in order. You'll see when they're due, whether or not you completed those, and what score you got, and what was the total score. So let's say this is a total score of 10, and you got 8. So you would see an 8 here and the 10 here. Of course, nothing is here yet because this is only the second day. But by Friday, you might be seeing a little bit of a score, because on Friday, I do plan on uploading something in this section, discussions. So stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out for that. All right. So for now, since I don't really have a lot going on Canvas, there's not much else to talk about with Canvas, but I'm going to give you guys a moment. Is there anything about Canvas that you want to know how it works? Do you have any questions on how to use Canvas? If so, then aprovechen el momento and you can ask me right now. So I'm going to write the question. All right, so I asked the question. I wrote it in the chat as well. Does anyone have any questions on how to use Canvas? I'm going to give you a few seconds to type out. If so, you can turn on your mic if you wish. I feel like Dora the Explorer. Thank you, Luis. Okay. So feel free to write anything in the chat at any time. If you do have any questions or comments, you can absolutely turn on your microphone. And even if you interrupt me, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So I'm going to continue away from Canvas, and we're going to leave student view. And now we're going to go into the syllabus. Okay, so of course we know it's the University of Puerto Rico English Department. This is Clash English 3102, and you guys are this section, 020, which is the 8:30 to 9:20 a.m. section. Of course, my name is over here, Christian. This is my office. I don't really go to my office anymore ever since March. But, you know, it was just letting you know, just in case. So, of course, you know, my office hours are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9:30 to 10:30. And my email is just my name and last name with no numbers. Don't forget the period over here. The catalog description is just basically telling you that the prerequisite for this course is English 3101, which I'm assuming you've all taken, otherwise you wouldn't be enrolled. So the course description. This class is designed to improve students' speaking, listening, reading, and writing abilities in English. The purpose of this class is for students to practice what they know and to learn more English so that they can successfully use English in their academic career. So, regardless of what you're studying in your university career, you will probably be using English in some form or another, whether it's by writing or more likely by reading articles for your projects and so on and so forth. Students will speak English in class, listen to English, and read and write in English as well. So I mostly teach this class almost exclusively in English, of course. Somos puertorriqueños, somos bilingües. So I will eventually sometimes use Spanish as a crutch. Maybe I'll forget how to say a word, I'll space on it. But really, you shouldn't depend on me translating what I'm saying. I'm going to be speaking mostly in English. You are expected to participate in class by talking to the instructor, that's me, and to their classmates, by listening to the instructor and to their classmates, and by completing in and out of class assignments. So participation is key here because it's part of how I take attendance. I'm going to explain that very soon. So moving on to the textbook. So we have Azar's Fundamentals of English Grammar, which is the same book that you use for Basic 1. Of course, I don't know if you noticed, you didn't use the whole book for the first Basic, 3101. So we're going to be continuing using this book with the following chapters. There's also a guide, and a sister book that's called Weaving It Together by Brugal. This monolingual dictionary is not exactly necessary because you can just use an online dictionary. And there will be a novel that we're going to use in class. We're going to read and do projects on that novel, but this is to be determined because I don't like choosing for you. So what we're going to do later on, maybe next week, I'm going to give you a list of 10, 15, 20 different novels, and I'm going to ask you to vote. And whatever novel has the most votes is going to be the one that we use. And just for transparency, I will let you know that I will be considering both votes from this section and the 730 section. So yes, whatever novel gets the most votes out of all my students is going to be the one that all my students will read. So what are the course goals? To address its purpose, English 3102 focuses primarily on developing students' ability to understand written and spoken English by improving reading writing skills. Attention is also given to vocabulary learning strategies and grammar. The course focuses mainly on reading and writing for academic purposes. Another typo. Okay, so there are a couple of course objectives. There are reading skills, vocabulary learning skills, writing skills, and grammar objectives. We're going to go into them right now. So for your reading skills, I want you to really identify the main idea of a reading, identify the supporting details of a reading. I want you to infer the meaning of a passage. So basically, understand what you're reading and understand the message. Identify different types of readings, such as academic readings and extensive readings like a novel. Reading skills such as skim and scan for information. Because like you do in Spanish, you can gloss over a text and look for keywords. And I want you to be able to develop that as well in English. And use and learn how to read statistic information and graphs. This one is not going to be as prominent as other ones. So for vocabulary learning skills, you're going to use context to infer meaning of unknown words. Of course, if there's a word that you don't know, you could always Google it. But Eventually, I want you to develop your own critical assessment skills and use context to identify meaning. Okay, so use bottom-up strategies such as identifying essential and non-essential words in a text, identifying different types of lexical items such as phrasal verbs and idioms, using prefixes and suffixes. Idioms is, en español serían refranes, by the way, no es idiomas. Use top-down strategies such as using background knowledge and inferring meaning from context. You know, kind of touching back on inferring meaning from context over here. Recognize and use transition words. In the coming weeks, we will be working with transition words, so keep an eye out for that. Use strategies to increase vocabulary learning, such as keeping a word bank and using conceptual maps. Esto de vocabulario, we're going to be focusing on this pretty soon, so keep an eye out. Writing skills, note-taking strategies. I don't know about you guys, but I remember things a lot better if I write them down with my own hands instead of typing them out. And I think I did myself a disservice this semester because I didn't buy any notebooks. I'm going to do it this weekend. And I highly suggest that you do that as well. It's one thing to, if you're a good listener and you can really grasp what we're doing here, but there are scientific studies that basically prove that by writing, you really do improve your memory and you improve your understanding of things. So I highly suggest you write down whatever is discussed in class, all the important things, in a notebook or a piece of paper or anything that you write down with your own hands instead of typing, because that will improve your memory. Talking about writing skills, no, not this one. Or was it? Oh yeah, this is the most important one in my opinion, is writing coherent paragraphs. So last semester I was teaching intermediate, and I read a lot of paragraphs and not all of them were coherent. So I want you guys to be able to improve your writing skills. Basically what this means is write something that makes sense. Gathering and organizing information before writing. So this is what pre-writing activities are for. Interpreting and writing using statistics and information from graphs. This is all according on what you want to write about, so this may or may not be used in class. Recognizing the following rhetorical modes, which are expository, comparison, and contrast. This is for essay writing, which we may write an essay or two in this class. We'll talk about that later. Choose appropriate verb tenses and lexicon when writing simple and complex sentences in English. No sé si recuerdan, but your basic 1 course, you talked a lot about verb tenses. So basic 2 is going to continue that idea of verb tenses, writing simple and complex sentences. And of course, grammar objectives. Identify and use the following verb tenses when writing and speaking in English. You're going to identify and write affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences using the present, past, and future. You're going to identify and write sentences and questions with the present perfect or the past perfect. So you already have the two verb tenses that we used for basic 1. It's really not 2, it's 6. It's simple present, simple past, and simple future, and then of course present perfect and past perfect. And you're going to write passive sentences in simple past, present, and future. You're going to identify and use modals and modal-like forms, which are these bullets: have to in present, past, and future, used to, present modal base of may, can, and would, could, should, ought to, and must, might, could, should, and must, and will, and would like to. There's a difference between this must, which is a degree of certainty, and this must, which is advice, necessity, or logical conclusion. We'll talk about that at some other point. So general requirements and specific policies. All students must, what do you have to do for this class? You must attend class regularly and punctually. Attendance at this university has always been mandatory, And of course, now that we're doing online courses, this is no different. This is why I asked you to write in the chat that you were present, or write hello or anything, so I know that you're actually here and you're not just sleeping with your camera and microphone off. Another way for me to prove that is by asking participation in class, group, and pair tasks. This is one of those sentences that I need to fix because it's kind of weird. So what you're going to do is you're going to participate in a lot of tasks in class, like group and pair tasks, and you're going to do this all in English. You must complete all homework on time. You should take the final exam and all class tests and quizzes. You should keep all graded assignments as a record of progress. And of course, you should take primary responsibility for learning. Of course, I'm here to facilitate learning, but whenever you're absent, of course, it is your responsibility to make up that material. In class, if you don't understand something, it is your responsibility to ask questions or get help. And of course, if you wish to speak in private, then that's what my office hours are for. And you must demonstrate your knowledge of the topics covered in class. And you can do this through class assignments. So, policies regarding absences. Regular attendance is expected. Students who miss a class and have an appropriate excuse, and let's bold appropriate excuse, like for example, a doctor's note, you may be excused. If you must be absent, get notes and information from fellow classmates and make sure to visit the class YouTube channel to see our recorded class meetings. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, during the semester, you will have 2 free absences. But of course, this does not really count for tests, quizzes, or assignment due dates. And these 2 free absences, you don't really need an excuse for. Ya on the 3rd absence, entonces, you will start seeing your score being affected. Now, this is more for tests because quizzes and assignments, since they are due online now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them open for a few days. So whenever I post a quiz, you're going to have, let's say, approximately a week to complete it. Same thing with an assignment. Whenever I post that you have to hand in the assignment, that will be open for 1 week. So yeah, if you are unable to hand in the assignment during that time, the assignment will close and you won't be able to submit the assignment, but we're going to talk about that very soon. Continuing talking about absences. Students who miss a test and have an appropriate medical excuse may be given a makeup, but there are no makeups for quizzes. Why is that? Because the test, well, it takes place within an hour or 2, and after that, well, it's test time is over. But quizzes, like I mentioned, you're going to have them available for about a week. So there is really no excuse for not submitting a quiz due to absences. Antes de continuar, the neighbor downstairs is doing construction. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound that it's making. ¿Me escuchan bien todavía? Okay. All right, good. Thank you, everybody that's responding. Ooh, everybody, nice. Okay. Where was I? Over here. Okay, so I was talking about this one. All right, students who do not participate or bring required materials to class may be marked absent. So this is not really relevant because I'm not really checking what materials you bring to an online class, but the important thing is everything else. Students who do not participate in class may be marked absent. So since your cameras are off and your microphones are off, I just want to make sure to keep you guys honest. So every once in a while, I will direct a question towards you to make sure that you're paying attention. So let's say I ask a question and I tell, okay, Rachel, what do you think about that? Then I'll be waiting for the student to answer. If they don't answer, I'll ask the question again, once again, addressing their name. And if they don't answer another time, then I may just mark them absent. But just make sure que estén pendientes de lo que estoy diciendo. Just make sure that you are capable of responding, whether it's turning on your microphone or just typing in the chat. That's fine, just for me to know that you're paying attention. Okay. Assignments should be handed in on time. Late submissions will be penalized with a 10% deduction for every calendar day. Now, this doesn't apply to regular assignments or quizzes, because what's going to happen with those is that you're going to have that week to complete it. And once that week is over, the module in which you can submit that is going to close. And once that's closed, it will assign you an automatic 0. So in that case, late submissions will not be penalized. And of course, let's say that I were to give you an assignment for Monday, then if you hand it in on Thursday, you're not going to be penalized, because at least for those homework assignments or the quizzes, as long as you do it before the time is up, you will have whatever score you earn. This is more for projects or essays. So let's say that the essay is due on Friday the 10th, but you hand it in on Monday the 11th, 12th, the 13th. Okay, I am counting Saturday and Sunday as a date in which it affects your submission. So if you send it by Monday the 13th and it was due for Friday the 10th, then you're going to get 10, 20, 30% less. So automatically, the highest score you could earn would be a 70. And of course, almost no essays are going to be perfect. You don't get 100 just because you submit something, which apparently is something I had to explain last semester. Of course, the rubrics will be discussed beforehand, but just make sure that you submit everything on time and we should have no issues. Policies regarding technology use in the classroom. This, I didn't really know how to modify it for online. I just changed a couple of things. So whenever you're speaking, just make sure that there are no distractions. So no cell phones, no music. Of course, we don't really control what happens outside of our own work area. Por ejemplo, yo vivo en el pueblo de Isabela, and how do I say it? Hay muchas personas que son desconsideradas, and they drive by and they'll make a lot of noise with their radios or their engines. You know, that's out of our control. You know, I'm not going to penalize you for that. In the case of you expecting some type of emergency call, or if you know that you're going to have to leave class beforehand, or at least antes de que se acabe la clase, you should tell me. You don't have to mention it in the class, especially if we're recording. So if you need to tell me something personal, then you can just send me an email, even if it's during class, because I can just check it after class ends and I'll understand what happened. Of course, this is more relevant to las clases presenciales, so this is not really too important. But it is relevant for tests. So smartwatches, headphones, and other electronic devices are not accepted during exams or quizzes. This is just para evitar que se copien. So, of course, whenever we do have tests, you will be required to turn on your cameras. And, of course, you shouldn't be using other electronic devices other than the one you're using to complete the test. Plagiarism and academic dishonesty. There are many forms of academic dishonesty, including plagiarism or the representation of another person's words, ideas, or information as if they were your own. Proper recognition must be given to sources. Failing to do so will result in termination of the course and a failing grade. This applies to essays, journals, presentations, or other works requiring citation. What does that mean? Basically, what I'm saying is that whenever you write something, whenever you submit something to me, an assignment or a work, whatever, and you use words that are not your own, you have to cite them. If you don't cite them, then that would be plagiarism. And plagiarism is not good. Any attitude representing plagiarism during tests, quizzes, classwork, or assignments will result in a 0 for all the students involved. So let's say que fulano y fulana en un trabajo individual, they worked together and they made the same work and they just submitted it separately. So we made the same work and then you put your name on yours, I put my name on mine, and then we submit that. Of course, if that is the case, then both fulano y fulana will receive a 0. Of course, plagiarism is a serious offense. It may cost you more than just a 0 in an assignment with no chance of repeating the assignment. So if I catch you plagiarizing whatever assignment, then you will not be able to repeat that assignment. You will just stay with that 0. It may cost you the privilege of studying in this and many other universities. All instances of plagiarism must be notified to the university's administration, which may cause you to be dropped from this course or even expelled from the university. And of course, if they expel you from the university, that would affect your privilege of studying in other universities. So, what is my instructional strategy? You're just gonna work on the reading, vocabulary, and grammar points listed in the course syllabus and whatever we work on in class. You will often work in groups or pairs so that we can learn from each other and practice together. Right now, the evaluation for this course is broken down as follows. 10% of the total grade is going to be laboratory. 30% of your total grade is going to be 3 partial exams. So each partial exam is, of course, 10% of your total grade. 15% of your final grade will be the final exam. 10% of your grade will be writing assignments and journals. Another 10% will be attendance. And the remaining 25% is going to be quizzes, homework, group work, or reports and presentations, etc. This is where essays might go. Of course, the grading curve is the same thing you've been used to for your whole school years. 90-100, 80-89, 70-79, 60-69, and 59-0. So if you notice the asterisks, and partial exams, we have the first asterisk, which says 1 partial exam at the end of each unit. So there's going to be 3 units totaling 3 partial exams. The second asterisk, is next to the final exam. So the final exam is departmental. That means that everybody in the English department that's taking this course, so basic 1 and 2, will have the test at the same time. You will not make up for this exam unless you have a valid excuse. So medical excuses, military orders, court orders, these are examples of valid excuses. This final exam will include the grammar and the vocabulary listed above, as well as 2 new readings. So basically, the final exam is going to include everything discussed in the semester, as well as 2 new readings. Now, these are not going to be random readings. Near the end of the semester, we're going to have a meeting, the professors of Basic 1 and 2, and we're going to decide on what readings to add. And of course, you will be notified of these readings beforehand. So you're not going to just find out what readings they are the day of the exam. You're going to know earlier. So these evaluation methods are subject to change in accordance to any changes made in the academic calendar, which, as we all know, is bound to happen, or any unusual situation during the semester. Any changes made to evaluations will be announced beforehand. And of course, any modifications to the syllabus will be made available to the students via Portal or through Canvas. Of course, I made a couple of changes, a couple of typos that I fixed along the way. So I will be uploading another version of the syllabus later on today. Now, moving on from your responsibilities, we're going to talk about my responsibilities as your instructor. So as your instructor, I will prepare for and teach assigned sections in such a way that students cover the material of the course and have an opportunity to meet its stated objectives if they work as instructed. What does that mean? It means that I'm going to teach you, and whatever I teach you, if you do what I'm telling you, then you will be able to meet the objectives in a correct fashion. I will also be required to, one of my responsibilities is to hold the required number of office hours and make special arrangements where necessary and possible to meet with students who cannot meet during official office hours. So ya saben, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 to 10:30. But if for whatever reason you can't meet with me at that time and you ask me to meet at another time, that's fine. All I want is for you to tell me at least 2 days in advance so I can move some things around in my schedule if necessary. Keep attendance records for every class and report these records to the registrar's office when requested. Pues saben que within the first 2 weeks and within the last week of class, I have to submit attendance to the registrar's office. So I will be doing that. And I think this is one of the most important ones, is to treat students respectfully and ensure that students do the same to each other and to myself. So whatever interactions we have with each other, say verbal, like right now, or written, I will be treating you with respect. And I expect the same from you. Vocabulary list. A list of vocabulary words will be discussed and used during the semester. These vocabulary words will be part of each partial exam and will also be tested on the final exam. So it is your responsibility to, whenever I tell you that these are vocabulary words, to make a list of those and keep those in mind. So, writing assignments and journal entries. Writing is an integral part of this course. You will have to write journal entries on specific issues or topics, which is what we're going to do on Friday, actually. You will also have to hand in other types of writing assignments, such as pre-writing activities and graphic organizers. I'm going to focus more on pre-writing activities and less on graphic organizers because I don't particularly like these. But, you know, de vez en cuando we're going to use those. Some of these you will do in class, and some of these you will hand in as homework. The professor will explain the instructions for each one of the written assignments and will also provide topics for the journal entries with their due dates. So, of course, I'm not just going to write the instructions and the dates on Canvas. I mean, I will, but I'm also going to explain them in class, so you should have no doubts. Now, this section is in red because I realized that I made a couple of errors here. With this, I'm going to explain why. This is because the English laboratory is supervised by a different instructor. Okay? Si se han fijado en su matrícula, the English lab is administered by someone called Dr. Rosita Rivera. Of course, yo no soy Rosita Rivera, so I am not the person that's working with the lab. So the previous information regarding the English lab may be incorrect or outdated. Of course, that's why it's in red, because I realized it was wrong. Make sure you stay up to date with the laboratory, as that grade is out of my control and is completely based on the criteria of another professor. I've had students ask me in previous semesters how some of the modules in the lab work. And at the end of the semester, they asked me why they got this grade in the lab. Remember, that has nothing to do with me. At the end of the semester, Rosita Rivera is going to send me your scores. She's going to send me fulano sacó X%, fulana sacó X%, and all I have to do is assign that percent that you got in the lab and add it to my class, and that is it. That's all that I have to do with the laboratory. So whatever questions you have about the lab, I am not exactly the person that you should ask. For example, I realize that you guys are using Moodle. You're not using Tell Me More anymore. And if I remember correctly, instead of 15 hours, you're going to be using, completing 13 hours. And of course, all this stuff is subject to change because I don't know what is happening with the lab. So se lo digo y se lo enfatizo que yo no tengo nada que ver con laboratorio. So any questions you have about the lab, direct them to Rosita Rivera, not to me. Coming back to academic dishonesty, it is that important. This includes plagiarizing sources, copying other students' work or exams, using translators to translate full written pieces, handing in work that has been done by someone else. This is all academic dishonesty. Our campus takes academic dishonesty very seriously. In this class, any of the actions mentioned above will result in an automatic 0 in the assignment or exam. If the student repeats the behavior, then the professor will refer the student to the disciplinary committee under the Dean of Student Affairs office, and they will determine the sanction, which could include a suspension. And of course, repeated instances of that would possibly garner an expulsion of the university. So, llegamos a esta sección de acomodo razonable. I don't know how many of you have acomodo razonable. I did get an email for one student in one of my 2 sections, I can't remember which, so I will be cumpliendo con los acomodos de ese estudiante o esa estudiante. If you have acomodo razonable and you still haven't received that information, then make sure you get in contact with the Dean of Students office at these numbers. For those that do have acomodo razonable, then I do suggest we meet during my professional hour or at some other point so we can discuss how we're going to cumplir con su acomodo. And this one is pretty important nowadays, specifically, is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment in the workplace and in the study environment is an illegal and discriminatory act and is against the best interests of the UPR. All persons who understand they have been subject to acts of sexual harassment at the UPR may file a complaint and request that the institution investigate where necessary and assume the corresponding action by the university authorities. If the person who is complaining is a student, let's say you must refer your complaint to the office of the student ombudsperson or that of the dean of students. Okay? Just in case there is any doubts what constitutes sexual harassment, I'm gonna mention a specific example that happened to one of my peers. Una de las instructoras de otra clase de inglés, I'm not gonna say names ni qué clase, but just yesterday we were talking and she mentioned that a student made an inappropriate comment towards her, and perhaps the student thought he was just paying her a compliment. All he said was that he loved her hair and that she was beautiful. You might not think that that's sexual harassment, but the instructor felt very uncomfortable with that comment. And now she has to solicitar para que cambien ese estudiante de esa sección because she feels like the interaction between student and instructor was inappropriate. And she just wants to be in a safe environment. So please refrain from making any comments about the instructor's personal, like however you feel about them, whether they're attractive, whatever comments you have to say about their body or their physical attributes, you can just keep to yourself. There is there needs to be a professional distance between students and instructors, and of course between students and their peers. So of course, if you are conversing with your peers, your classmates, please refrain from talking about people's bodies or anything that they might find objectionable. Just make sure that you keep yourself safe and you don't discriminate against others. This section I might just delete because this is more relevant to las clases cuando son presenciales and how we can do 25% of that course as regular contact hours by internet. Of course, that's irrelevant now. And okay. So finally, I would like to issue this disclaimer that this syllabus is subject to change and may be amended during the semester in order to correct unintended errors, which I will do, comply with the established course objectives, and/or respond to contingencies. Básicamente, what we're saying here is that the syllabus can and will change throughout the semester because 2020 has been very weird, and we just need to do what we can para cumplir con los requisitos. So, cuando cambien los requisitos, we will be informing you. Remember that any changes to the syllabus, I will notify you of those. And of course, you will be able to access the syllabus, all revised editions of it, through Portal or Canvas. I'm trying to find it. There it is. Any modification to the syllabus will be made available to the students via Portal or through Canvas. Okay. That's pretty much it for the syllabus. That's pretty much it for Canvas. So just wanted to ask you guys, is there anything else that you'd like to know about the syllabus, about how the class is going to continue unfolding, about anything at all? Do you have any questions or comments? Okay. I'm looking at the comments because I hadn't seen the comments in a while, and I see that Swanaide mentioned that she doesn't have a laboratory in her courses. Tengo que verificar cuál es la sección de eso, and I'll get back to you on that, Swanaide. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, then I guess we can conclude this course for today. El viernes we will be meeting each other in this very same class at the very same time. I will be uploading a discussion board on Canvas before Friday with a couple of questions that I want you to write about. You'll see the instructions, and of course, I'll discuss them on Friday. Guys, thank you so much for your attention. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Suanaide, si tiene un momentito, don't leave, and I'm going to look up that information para ver like what's up with that, okay? Everybody else, you can get going. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Profesor,
Yes.
Profesor, yo tampoco tengo laboratorio en mi matrícula.
Okay, so I'm going to help Sonaide y Luis Avellanet. Okay, I'm going to look into that right now. So if you can stay another minute or two and lo que verifico, that would be fine. Okay, so se quedaron unos cuantos. Okay, so Sonaide y Luis y Natalie y Joniel, and apparently Hansi también. Okay, so I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna present again. Y Jelianis, okay. Y Sebastián, oh my God, okay. So where is it? Over here. So in home.uprm.edu, you're going to see that there's el curso básico de inglés. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So of course you can see that there's 3102 and both sections are mine, but then you see Rosita Rivera here and it says laboratorio. So it says INGL 3102 110L, and it would be Friday from 5:30 to 6:20. I'm going to write this in the chat. Son Jelian y Nayeli. En la matrícula tampoco sale laboratorio, pero cuando confirme matrícula en el área de pago, que desglosan, todo me sale el laboratorio de idioma. Okay. Does anybody have su matrícula that they could show me? Just so I can see what I could do. I'm going to write down the names of the people that don't have the lab in their matrícula, and I'm going to email Rosita Rivera about that to see what she can do. So está Nayeli, Jelianis. I'm writing it down by hand so I don't forget. Sebastián, Jonian, Luis Avellanet. Natalie Mercado. Genesis dice que no tiene email de Rosita. And okay, I think that's pretty much it. Luis, Juliani, Genesis, Swan ID. So Genesis, you also don't have the lab in tu matrícula? Okay, so also Genesis. Okay, so I wrote down all of your names. Tengo Nayeli, Yelianis, Sebastián, Joniel, Luis, Natalie, y Genesis. Is there anybody else here that I didn't mention? Genesis, Yelianis, Joniel, Luis, Natalie, Nayeli, Sebastián, y Swan ID. I'm going to write down Swan ID. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. I hope so. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to send Rosita an email. Actually, I'm going to give you guys her email as well. Let me just, okay, there it is. Rosita.rivera.1. Rosita.rivera1. So, pendiente al chat, que voy a escribirle Rivera1@upr.edu. Okay, so that is the person that you need to get in contact with. Si quieren adelantarse and just send her an email yourself, feel free. Como quiera, I'm going to send her an email during my office hours para recordarle de todas estas personas que no tienen el laboratorio. You're supposed to have a lab, I'm pretty sure. Maybe she can give you more information. I don't know why it says that we don't have any credits on this course, because we should. But anyways, okay, guys. So voy a hacer eso. Ya en un par de minutos, I'm gonna write that email and send it to Rosita. Si quieren adelantarse, como dije, pues you can just email Rosita Rivera Edu, rosita.rivera1@upr.edu. And of course, pendiente a Canvas, pendiente a sus emails. Por ahora, pues nos seguimos reuniendo el viernes. Pendiente por lo menos el jueves por la noche, just in case I decide to dárselo libre, but I don't think so. All right, guys. Gracias a ustedes por su tiempo, por su atención. Have a nice day. I'm going to stop recording now.